welcome back to this week's episode of Facecheck. Dom, LS, and myself here to break things down that happened in the LCS. And, you know, there was a lot that happened in the matches, but let me tell you, the story that dominated, I guess, the ecosystem is the one that we're going to start off with. But let's, as we always do before we get into the good, LS, how are you, man? How are you doing?
Well, this was the first week without LEC, so it was a lot more manageable, but the last few days were pretty stressful because the big move. I mean, it starts actually in like 7 hours. We start actually moving, like the movers come to the house and we start moving everything out of the house, but yeah.
That's exciting, no?
Yeah, but the whole thing was really stressful. I think Dom a couple of years ago bought a really expensive house, right? Like the down payment that you made. Or something. It was like it was a lot of money, and like this was the first time for me that I ever moved so much cash, and so it was like very nerve-wracking, and there's still some stuff nerve-wracking about it because apparently we fucked something up today. So yeah, that's what's going on. Nice.
LS can conquer the world of everything except real estate. Real estate still gets everyone.
Real estate me over, man. And Reddit yesterday was very fun.
Yeah,
that's my favorite.
Reddit. You never truly defeat Reddit. You just.
I don't know. I don't know if Dom, did you see the thread yesterday, or Digon, did you see the thread?
Yeah, no, I saw the Magic Felix.
Yeah.
Like
they're brain dead.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I refuse to believe that the people writing to me speak English like fluently.
I mean, all I would say is there's a reason why no one from the community interacts on Reddit anymore. There used to be a time where pro players would be in like every thread. You'd have Dyrus typing in there, Wicked typing in there, like I would fucking be in there, Snoopy was in there. Like literally the reason no one interacts on Reddit anymore is because it's so brain dead and it's so hostile. And pretty much anytime you speak up about anything, it's just people have free reign to just throw shit at you and get fucking like upvoted, just lying about you to your face. There's just no point to ever interact there. Like, it's not a good source of generating revenue for streamers anymore. It doesn't matter if your stuff hits Reddit. It doesn't matter if Redditors care about you. It doesn't matter if they like you as a content creator. It actually doesn't matter. Everything comes from Twitch. Everything comes from like YouTube algorithms, stuff like that. So there's no point to even interact. It's just a bunch of unhappy people that don't even give, like, before it used to be like, oh, you know, they're unhappy, but at least we get money out of it. Now there's just no benefit anymore. Like, there's zero.
There's a there's a level of surprise that every time you go back to it, it doesn't. It's not better. So it's a bummer. All right. I think you hit the point though. It's like, hey, if you just throw out a spicy take, regardless of the factuality of it, or rewriting history, like what I was joking about earlier, then you get upvoted. So thanks, guys that are here watching the video from not Reddit. The end. Dom, how are you, man? No LEC for you either, but you still had the LPL night shift.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, it gives me more time to like cover some LCK as well. So we've been doing some LCK VOD reviews, LPL, LCS. I don't know. We're enjoying the competitive grind right now.
Did you get a cut recently? Sorry, I just noticed this.
Not recently, no. Like maybe like 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
You didn't notice in the last episple, Digon?
Yeah, the last episode happened 2 weeks ago when it was the freshest.
Are you even a friend or
yeah,
like?
I think so. Hold on, let me see. Let me go back to the face check.
Yeah, what the hell?
Actually, didn't even. Yeah, dude, I woke up at 3 a.m. today. I wasn't fucking doing shit about my hair. Let me see. What was the last episode?
Last episode was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
maybe
that's
no.
why
Maybe
Diplex
not.
was removed from Cloud9.
Not sure. Maybe not. Maybe it's week and a half.
Okay.
Week and a half.
Yeah, see? Throwing it out there. All right. Okay. Let's get into it. This I guess I was in Seattle. I was gone a lot. I've moved my desk up to the 3rd floor of my apartment, so things look different. They're going to look different for a little while because I moved it up here to create more space for a living room because I'm going to try to adult. Yeah, that was what I did, as well as grab some interviews with this last week of interviews I got from the LCS were some of my favorite. I just kind of asked hard questions, and we had River, Gory, Pioshik, MNS, Palafox, and Jojo Pune. And I just asked hard questions, and I didn't really kind of baby them as much as I normally do. Baby's not the right word, but just cater the question as much, and just saw what happened. And I think they gave interesting answers. So those are up over on my YouTube channel over at Do You Got Any Sports. So hopefully you guys can take a look at that. Okay. One of the big pieces of news that came out this week was multiple layers. Thorin put out a video about the mismanagement of former Evil Genius's bot laner Danny from last split during his tenure, the end of his tenure, needing to step down for a mental health break. Mm-hmm. Afterwards, Richard Lewis followed up with an article citing the multiple layers of failure from the management and from some of the staff. And then finally, a Reddit thread from Arsh, a formerly Dignitas intern, I think, and now like on the Namen podcast, compiled all of the information together, as well as using some of his sources to kind of hammer this point home and get into some of the insights, and has like a couple of screenshots of the things that were said. So the Danny thing kind of resurfaced. He responded back to Thorin and said, hey, it's not really a big deal. Kind of moved on. Didn't respond
back to Thorin. That's key. That he responded to the allegations.
Hey, allegations. Generally. There we go. And so I wanted to set the stage here for both of you, because as you can tell, Dom is ready to go with his thoughts and ideas on this whole situation. So given that there's a lot of information that came out about a situation that happened with mismanagement, player mismanagement towards mental health on multiple fronts from last year, what did you think when all this news came out here, Dom?
Well, there's a couple things. I think a lot of people initially are like, oh, well, it's not confirmed. But this is the closest that you can get confirmed in journalism, when you have journalists in different camps, or people producing articles in different camps that actually don't like each other. So if Richard Lewis, who has this Arsh Goyle guy blocked, that they hate each other, they don't want to have any reason to agree on anything. If they're randomly both putting out articles corroborating the same story, most likely that story occurred. Like that's a general good way to look at just like the world as a whole, right? So this is the closest you're going to get to something being out. It's not like EG is going to just publish like tapes one day of them saying all the quotes that they had about like calling Danny the F and R word or whatever. Like there's not gonna be that. This is a story about something that happened, and obviously the fact that no one is refuting it. If this stuff was fake, you'd have people that are no longer employed from EG refuting it. There would be some type of like discourse against what is happening. Also, if you put this type of information out there and you do it in bad faith, you are liable to be sued. So there's also another dimension to it as well. When you look at this situation, I don't understand how it's not being seen under the guise of like, oh, maybe it's just mismanaged, or like maybe it's not actually evil, or maybe it's some mismanagement, or it's because of the verticality of their organization, you know, where things are really, you know, there's people in positions of power that are not necessarily supposed to be there. I mean, this is by definition evil. You see what happens in the situation where the upper management knows, and in every single report it says that the reason that they didn't bench Danny is because they cared more about the value and the money that they would get in the future if they were able to sell him and retain their brand value more than they cared about his mental health. I don't understand why everyone is just saying, well, if these reports are true, then I guess, you know, EG's not too nice. If this was anyone else, they would get completely railed by the entire community. I don't understand how Nicole LaPointe Jameson just doesn't get any flack. Like, no one's tweeting about her. Imagine if Reginald did this shit. Imagine if fucking like Big Steve did this shit. If Jack did this shit. If any of the people that have been in the industry for a while did this, they would get absolutely obliterated by everyone. But for some reason, she just gets a complete pass, which I think is, it's just super low. That is? Why do I think it is? Well, I think it's because like people they don't want to say anything without complete certainty on something, so they don't value like the multiple different reports. I mean, look, if Richard Lewis is almost, I mean, not even almost, he's always correct about everything he does. He takes journalism extremely seriously. That report alone should give you enough right there. On top of that, there's another report that comes out from Arsh Goyal, who, like I said, they don't like each other, right? So why would they suddenly be agreeing on stuff? It's like anything else, man. Like they don't want to have to agree. If Richard Lewis published a bad report and there was ways to contradict it, then the person that wants to see him fail, that's also competing in the same space against him, would then call out all of those inconsistencies and contradictions in order to further themselves. Right. So it's super fucking weird that people don't like value journalism at all. Like, I don't know, do they need some tapes leaked? Like, you're not gonna have that, you know? Like, I don't know, people are just used to the Lena situation where she goes on tape saying, hey, nobody wants Dardoch, and they're like, oh, it's a conflict of interest right there, we can see it. Maybe that's what people need in order to believe things nowadays. But to me, this is like, it's just so crazy how she gets a complete pass. And I think it's because people use the thing of like, oh, she's not really from the space, she's kind of newer here, and that just allows people to somehow have a pass. But a lot of the people that started these esports companies started young, and they weren't supposed to be in positions of like power where they had influence over a company valued at $400 million either. You know, like, right. Reginald was not somebody who had experience in the workplace before, but he would get completely obliterated. Carlos was not somebody who has, you know, experience being a CEO at a company. And, you know, I don't know, I just think it's so weird that everyone is just tiptoeing around the situation instead of calling out the fucking bullshit.
LS?
I mean, well, yes. I mean, I agree. I agree with what Dom is actually saying, in that I think that we have numerous other examples throughout history where people would dogpile people where these claims are very clearly strong enough, and that there's no one coming out saying the contrary, right? You don't have any. The other really weird thing, right, is that Danny didn't write his tweet. EG did. That's really fucking weird. Especially because of the timing that it all came out. So like EG gets on Danny to go on Twitter and then make a tweet. Like that's very strange to me. Because it seems like he's not compelled by his own volition to do it. Which I think also says something in itself. I think that the article, I think in Arsh's article, right? It actually says something like he reached out to Danny's family or Danny or something, and if they didn't want it published, that he wouldn't have, or like something.
Somebody
nature,
really
right?
close to him. It said, like,
right. So
close to
like
Danny.
That's also pretty revealing, I think, in a lot of ways. Now, the other thing that I would say about the whole EG story is a lot of people are not claiming, but a lot of people are crying foul, like this is unprecedented. But something that I talked about on stream when I read and reacted to it is like a lot of this stuff happens actually a lot more than people think in esports. It's just that it doesn't get reported on like the way that it's happening with Danny. And that's another sad reality. Like I'm trying to like think about how I can word like some stuff, because it's happened in so many different regions, right? Another instance that was like really fucked up, and I don't even know how the team stayed in the league, right? Very first incident of anything that was like really fucking disturbing that Richard Lewis also reported on.
MYM.
And Riot didn't. MYM, right? Where
Big sorry.
there was the guy, I don't know what his name was. I keep thinking that it's Sebastian, but it might be like Fally or something like that. It might be Sebastian or Fally or some name like that. And there's the known thing, which is that the person threatened Selfie with making sure that like his mom will lose her house or something, right? And thus birthed the meme "Move Your Mother," right? Or "Move Your Mother's," whatever, MYM. But then there's the other audio recording that was never released to the public, but that Riot knew about, where Fally or Sebastian says to Selfie that he would ensure that he would never play pro again because he would break his neck. And this is like a legitimate threat that is being made in front of the MYM house on recording while Selfie's like waiting for an Uber. Like this is like fucking crazy. That audio recording never comes out. There's a lot of other really fucked up stories that could be revealed, and no one comes forth and talks about them because everyone's like afraid. And like one of the ones that I know that people know about, Dom might even know about this one, is the story of an LCS player that gets pushed into a room, has the door locked, and then has an NDA contract pushed under the door, and the door will not be opened, and it's on the second story, and there's no fucking way for the player to get out of the fucking room. The player doesn't have a cell phone, etc. The player gets locked in the room for hours until they will sign the NDA. And management and staff cover up this story. That was probably like 3 or 4 years ago or something, I would say, and this happened in the LCS. Where's the report on that? Why does no one talk about it? There's plenty of LCS players that know about this. They know what player it was. The scene's really fucking gross. And it's also like really weird. Like we were talking about Reddit at the very beginning of this, right? And like interacting on Reddit, and it's like the community and the mob mentality and the hive mind, they don't actually care what's being said, almost as if they don't speak English, right? They just care about.
Well, they don't read. Number one,
huh?
I think the biggest issue is that they don't read. Like,
They don't read.
I'd be very surprised if most of the people that are commenting on that thread involving the report by Arsh Goyal actually spent time to read that article, because it was probably like 5,000. Yeah, it's a long ass fucking read. And the first thing that I took away from that is the fact that he's saying that he thinks that it was just potentially negligence in the article, and then he goes on to say like, hey, they valued money over like the player's safety. Like, that is what the fuck is that? If you see that makes me question the person writing the article. Where are your morals? If you were able to confirm that he was borderline being sent to a fucking hospital, he's losing weight, he's having severe mental issues, and the company itself knew about it and chose to force him to play because of his brand value and because they didn't want him to lose value. If you're able to confirm that, in what way can you go about this situation as, oh, yeah, it's just negligence? No, they knew what they did. It was malicious. They cared more about money than they cared about Danny. And he almost suffered severe health consequences because of that.
Well, one of the things I want to talk about in this specific thing that I talked about on my stream is I think it's an immediate red flag. So in the article, and obviously in Reddit and like a lot of other places, they talk about how teams should have mental health professionals be a part of the team, which I do agree with. However, I think that it's an immediate red flag whenever the team has a signed mental health professional to the team. Because in my experience from seeing this, as well as like knowing how the esports industry and everything else is, that mental health professional is not going to do things that are in the best interest of the players or the staff members of the team. They're going to do things that are in the best interest of the org. And there's been many fucking stories and reports over the years of something like this happening. Now, I can point to examples of like Team Liquid who have a contracted mental health professional, right? But he's not a part of Team Liquid, right? And so he can go against Team Liquid, and his main purpose actually is the players, right? And so I think that that's really good. But like, I think one of the more disturbing things in that article is that the mental health professional is on the side of the org. And then because people love to use appeal to authorities and like all this other shit, it's a mental health professional, right? Their opinion just carries more weight. And so whatever they're going to decide or claim or whatever, they can always just skew towards the org.
I think a way for folks at home that might counter that is actually HR. It's the same kind of thing with your human resources. So if something happened at the workplace, is it someone that is contracted out, by a third party, or is it part of the organization? A lot of times part of the organization, because HR includes like getting your bills or getting your check, and getting your invoice correct, and a lot of like work focused functions that help if that person knows your company and knows the work and knows who to go to. But when it comes to a point of conflict of interest or some sort of harassment that needs to be taken care of, that's where everything that you're saying, LS, like rings super true, where now they're put in a crisis of, well, my job is to fix these problems. Who am I fixing it for? Am I fixing it for the organization, or am I fixing it for the player, even though I'm literally the advocate for a player? So that is such a I think, spotlighted thing from from this whole situation. There's a lot of spotlighted issues that came out from it, but a lot of it is, hey, this isn't just mismanagement of just EG, but like we said, a industry-wide issue that has come up.
Yeah. I mean, the whole situation is completely fucked, though, specifically on EG. I mean, so one of the things that the Arshgoya report exposed was that Danny didn't actually write, by his sources, Danny didn't actually write his own, tweet, whatever it was, like the tweet that essentially just said nothing happened. It was all on me. It was all my fault. He didn't write that tweet, but then think about like how weird the interactions were. They go live with the tweet that wasn't written by him, and then immediately, like 5 minutes later, the CEO responds. Number one, the CEO is probably not going to be like on Twitter at all points. Like, this is obviously a coordinated thing to make it look differently than it actually was. Like, this is really fucking weird. Danny doesn't write the tweet. 5 minutes later, she responds, and then she tweets out. She quote retweets. This is not somebody who tweets a lot, right? Like, this is somebody who rarely tweets. They quote retweet it and say, "Welcome to EG content creation," or the creator collective, I guess is what their CC stands for, not content creation, but whatever. The same point stands. Like, this is very, very fucking weird, and everyone just has to take it at face value because there's not, like, you don't have video evidence of it. Like, come on, guys, this is really fucked up. This is a very, very strange situation, and the way that they're doing their damage control, it just reeks of foul play.
Yeah, there are definitely things in the article that were like, hey, this is aristocratic, like, kind of thinking and leadership. They're only sending executives to certain events. I think there are times where that's necessary. Not every person needs to be in the decision-making process, or not every person needs to be, I guess, too many cooks in the kitchen can be bad, obviously. And EG last year had one of the largest staffs assembled, especially front-facing. Remember, at the beginning of the year, they didn't have Rigby, and then Rigby came along afterwards, and they didn't remove another coach. So they had a very big staff. So I get that part, but I think there was the example of, hey, they used their substitute spot to send an executive to shoot content and also do executive things, and they caught COVID, which removed their substitute spot.
And they put Riot in a shit spot too. Like, they put Riot in a horrible spot with this, because Riot had to make a fucking terrible decision where either they enforce the rules super hard, which a lot of people will say they should have done. They enforce the rules super hard, and they just ruin one of the days of the biggest event of the year for Summer Split, when things are already going bad for LCS, right? Like, this is like peak doom. Everyone's like, oh, LCS is dying, whatever. And then on one of the days, they're going to force a fucking coach to play AD carry out of all roles, or they're gonna have to force a coach to play jungle, and the mid laner plays AD carry, and Inspired plays mid. Like, this would be completely fucked. So they either choose between that or making a role that actually benefits EG. So EG like played everyone here. They played Riot, they played Danny, and look at what happened afterwards. Rigby went back to Korea. Peter Dunn went back to EU. Impact changed teams. Everyone who was on it like wanted to get the fuck away from EG because what they thought was happening was not okay. There's so many levels to this. It really bothers me. This whole situation bothers me so fucking much.
The thing about Impact, so I talked about this on my stream because it's like sort of a leak that like can come from me. And Danny would obviously be able to verify this if anyone asked him. But in October/early November, when like the whole C9 stuff with me was going on, right? This is 2021. I had heard from multiple different people that all of Danny's teammates hated him, and that they didn't want to play with him, and that they were trying to get him removed. But that apparently Peter Dunn pushed back against Danny being removed, or like the coaching staff was pushing back against Danny being removed.
Originally.
But Impact and like others apparently didn't want to play with him. So I heard this from several different people. And so when I was contemplating, when C9 first reached out to me, who's actually going to be free agents, like in the offseason and stuff, one of the things Nemesis was like really concerned about, because I wanted Nemesis to be a mid laner, is that the 80 carries available, because Nemesis would count as an import, right? And yada, yada, yada. And Sven wouldn't be able to get his green card until like May or June, is what we were all thinking. And so Nemesis was really concerned about 80 carry. And so when I heard all of that, I had called Danny, and I'm like, is it actually true that all your teammates just don't like you? Because I'm hearing that, like, you know, teammates are trying to get you replaced, and that EG wants to go with double lift Vulcan, and that, you know, that they all just want double lift to join EG, and yada yada yada. And Danny told me that that's not the case, and he didn't know where I was hearing it from. Now, I heard it from people that aren't friends with each other. So I'm like, this doesn't, like, too many people are saying this, right?
Yes, exactly.
And
That's how you learn things are true.
Right, exactly, right. So many people are saying the same thing to me, and they're like, no one wants to play with you. So, like, why am I hearing this from so many different people? Now, I didn't know why. I thought at the time, so I didn't know about his autism. I didn't know about maybe like social awkwardness, etc. Yeah. I thought it was because he was ascribed to the same ideology that like me, Fudge, Nemesis, and like all these other people, right, ascribe to.
He was,
like,
yeah, he was
scale,
in your chat,
right?
wasn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. I literally thought that was the reason, is because he's ascribed to that ideology of the gameplay, and his teammates aren't. And so naturally, if you're the only one on the team that is ascribed to that and no one else is, yeah, you're just going to be exiled, right? That's just how it goes. And I'm all too familiar with that, like, you know, talking with players that are like that, right? So I thought that's what it was. And now, obviously, this article comes out exactly a year later, and it seems to corroborate that seems to be a real thing, that his teammates didn't want to play with him. So... like, you know, I think that's fucked up. But like, I don't think Impact leaving is necessarily because of everything going on there. I think Impact is maybe leaving because EG still wants to keep Danny, no?
I don't know if they want to keep Danny. I mean, that's not what I took from the article. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
mean, the one that was that the article confirmed was the Peter Dunn one, where when Peter Dunn said, like, ahead of the TL series, like, we need to bench Danny, when he went to EG staff and said that, they came back and tried to get Peter Dunn to, you know, advocate for EG essentially privately with Danny in order to, you know, leverage their friendship against Danny, which is, like, super fucked up, which obviously is one of the reasons why Peter Dunn left, according to the article. I mean, it makes complete sense there. So,
yes,
I mean, it's very fucking weird. It's very fucking weird what's going on. And they're like completely silent. Obviously, they're going to use the defense of like, oh, well, there's legal implications here, so that's why we can't speak about it publicly. They're going to hide behind that shit. But if things were completely not true, like if this was not true and everyone is railing them, and you have multiple journalists like coming out against you, you'd probably speak up and say something.
Right.
You know, it's like if somebody makes completely unfounded claims that are extremely damaging. It's like when Malice called me a pedo on Twitter. You know, like if somebody calls me a fucking pedo, I'm gonna be like, yo, I'm not a fucking pedo. I'm not gonna be like, ooh, let me just think about the legal implications. Maybe I need to like fucking sue him to save face. You know, like it's just like you're gonna
maybe you do
kill that shit instantly. Like, you know, like you're gonna kill that shit instantly.
Yes. Whenever you're accused of something that is like very, very serious, normally a content creator, professional player, anyone, their first thing is to deny it. Yeah. If like they don't actually agree with it.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what everyone does. Yes.
So a difficult, disappointing, frustrating situation that kind of played out over the last week from last year's actions, and a lot of, I guess, just a very long breadcrumb trail that kind of leads back to it. I think you pointed out how much of the staff had moved on. Artemis as well, moving on into content creation.
Everyone who was allegedly on the Danny side of things that wanted to have them. There was two camps, right? They said the proverbial battle lines were drawn. You have the upper management on one side, and then you had Rigby, Peter Dunn, and Artemis on the other. So the people that are working with him every single day are like, yo, we need to do something about this. Like, this is actually an issue. And the upper management wanted to do other things. Also, just the idea, man, this is so fucking deep. The fact that the CEO, think about the power dynamic. The CEO comes down and has a conversation one-on-one with Danny, and then Danny suddenly wants to play for the team for the upcoming game. Like, no power dynamic problems there either. You have the CEO coming to talk to an individual player, a player that has some level of social problems that we now know about. How the fuck is that okay, man? This is so fucking weird. And people are afraid. This is one of the worst stories we've heard in terms of like mismanagement of a player and harm done to a player. And this is the one that everyone is avoiding. People have no problem shitting on Reginald. People have no problem shitting on Carlos. Where is everyone? What is people saying? Like, what are people saying?
Well, right. So this goes back to like the same thing that I asked you. Like, why do you think it's happening? Why do you think so many people are covering?
I think Reggie is more of a I think Reggie.
You think Reginald is just
a,
actually more disliked in all these meetings and stuff?
I think it's literally just the way that they come off, right?
Right.
Like when you look at Nicole and she speaks, right? She seems really intelligent. She says the right things. She seems nice. She seems like she understands like the problems within society. She says things like she takes mental health seriously. And then when you have somebody like Reginald, who's, you know, known as like the douchebag guy, you have videos of him verbally abusing people on camera. It's a lot easier to be like, yeah, I can see that guy doing the fucked up thing and not her.
Right.
Yeah. Reggie as a content creator is more out front. There's more opinion about him that adds on to the allegation. So it's like, oh, what I thought is true. Boom. I don't like him, compared to, I guess, you know, both of them did a lot of good, have done a lot of good for their teams, for their orgs, for charities. But it's pretty disappointing to see it kind of like go
I don't
this
even
way,
know.
as you're
Yeah, I
saying.
mean, okay. Maybe.
Your example that you brought up of having like the CEO in the room, it reminds me of an article when, I think it was when LeBron came to the Lakers and Rich Paul, who's his agent, was like in there along with the buses. The buses would always be in the locker room while they were like losing and things weren't going right. And to have your boss and your superior constantly next to you, it creates such a very weird power dynamic, as the people that are on the ground trying to fix the issues are trying to do exactly that. I know you want to help, but your job is to be an executive, not to fix shit. And so I think having that sort of pressure is just so not good. It's so not
well, like, just because of the power dynamic, you have to like recuse yourself from that situation. That's the whole reason why you're supposed to have a mental health professional or performance staff or whatever. The whole reason is so that the CEO doesn't get involved and like try to do things that they're not qualified to do, that also come with massive implications. Like, just, you know what it's like fucking talking to your boss. Anyone who has a boss or has had, you know, like, I mean, I was a player and I had a CEO, I had an owner that I had to discuss with. Anyone knows that those conversations are obviously pretty uncomfortable. You feel like you want to please them because obviously they have a lot of power over you in the situation. Like, it's just extremely obvious that should not occur. That should not be the final straw.
All right, we have hammered this one from multiple different levels here, and I think the points come across. At the end of the day, this is just such a frustrating and difficult, I hate using the word sad, but like, story for Danny himself, who one of the brightest, probably, is this one of the best rookie additions that we've had ever, other than maybe JoJo Pune? I mean, they came up together, but I think that's fair to say, right, Tom?
Yeah, definitely.
And to have it go this way feels bad. There's going to be every single player has had some sort of redemption story, had some sort of adversity, but never should it be from the people that say and promote that they have your back. So hopefully things get resolved through Danny's family, and everyone can move on. Oh, just the fact that everyone on the other side still employed just kind of blows my mind. Yeah. All right. Okay, next up, more controversy. One thing that happened, Dom, actually, you alluded to it, I think, earlier during this week's matches. But then we got news yesterday, I think last night. Big coaching change from the hype team that sells hoodies and energy drinks. 100 Thieves are making some changes, and people were saying maybe it's going to be in the bot lane, maybe it'll be somewhere else on the map. No, it's at the coaching position. Je suis Cass has been removed as the head coach, and 100 Thieves will be going a different direction. He also recently put out a tweet. I very much like the fact that he kind of took it on the chin and was like, hey, they're looking for different, let's see, Cass's tweet saying, 100 Thieves management envisioned certain values for the head coach position, and they didn't end up matching with me. That, combined with recent results, made their decision. That's not normally what you say after you get let go. And if that's the reason that 100 Thieves is making this change, that sounds like a person you wouldn't hire in the first place. So What do you make of this move here, LS, as Cass is now out for 100 Thieves, and Nuke Duck has been promoted on up?
I mean, I've heard things that go back even to the 100 Thieves boot camp that would make me think that this was just inevitable. I just thought that this would inevitably be coming. I don't know what else to say on that front. But
okay, so
I think 100 Thieves. I think that there's so many problems that go on inside of their gameplay, right?
Sure.
And generally, I'm sure that both of you guys know that I don't think very highly of coaching in general. And I think that when you're looking like a crapshoot all around, and when literally 100 Thieves unironically looks like old TSM, it really does look like that there's no coaching influence. It's just player led. And I can't know. Now, I remember having a conversation with Nuke Duck, and this is at the end of December in the T1 cafeteria. And Nuke Duck, now it's only been 2 months. Nuke Duck sounded like this whole thing is just so new to him, and that he's like really taken aback by it, and coaching was not what he expected it to be, and like all this other stuff, right? There's no fucking way in 2 months that any,
I was gonna say, wait, things can change in 2 months.
And I mean nothing negative towards him, right? But he's being thrown into the Lions. He's being promoted because they just have to remove this guy, right? That's what's going on. But realistically, I don't expect any change or any progressional things or anything for 100 Thieves. I think that they're just. I genuinely just think they're going to be screwed.
Dom, real quick, just because you did a good job skirting away from, I think, a thing that you wanted to say, which is fine. But here's another way to ask the question, DLS. What are some things that lead to coaches inevitably not working? Because you said, it feels inevitable. Like, what feels inevitable? Maybe you don't have to say that thing, but give an example of like what's an inevitable like issue that a coach would have to get let go.
When the players just know a lot more than the coach, and the coach doesn't have brand power.
There we go. All right, Tom, go ahead.
Well, I think that this was probably one of the hardest teams you could coach, because the players are very like rooted within their own ideas, and they're players that have had like a lot of success. So in your mind, if you're Doublelift or you're Bjergsen and you've won championships upon championships, like playing a certain way, you're not going to want to agree with somebody else. Like they're just going to be the ones that are going to dictate how the team plays. So to be honest, I think it's also just a really hard thing. The coach could be doing God's work, and at the end of the day, sure, it's like his job to get people to buy in, but in reality, if players are set on what they want to do enough, there's nothing you can do to actually force them to play a different way. And you see that 100 Thieves is literally just old TSM. They play the game the same way. They don't like taking risks. Pretty much everything that they look at in a game is, does this have over a 50% chance of working? No? Okay, then we're never going to do it. Then how do you ever win if you're behind? Because you're only going to be making plays where you have a less than 50% chance. And the problem that I see is they don't really have any lane that they play through. So their early game, they try one of two things. Either they pick early game like they did in the second game this week. They pick early game champs and they just don't win early game because they're not good enough individual players to win with the matchups they're supposed to win in lane phase. They pick early game and they lose, or they try to pick full scaling, which is what they tried to do here in game number 1, and they just get so far behind, like the game to C9, they get so far behind they can't even like touch the fucking waves later on. So I actually don't even know how this team should be coached. What should they even be picking in order to play with their playstyle? They can't win with early game, they can't win with late game, they just have to exist and like out macro bad teams late, which is how TSM used to win in NA. That's it. That's the only thing they could do.
And this is so interesting to me because there are different types of coaches that have different types of coaching that fit different types of teams. And this team, as you said, feeling very, as both of you have highlighted, former TSME, this is a personality management team. And walking into this situation, you got to know, like, hey, maybe like we're going to get 90% of like trying to manage these personalities, brands, egos, tempers, confidences. But like, we're only going to get 10% of like, this is how the game can kind of change. Maybe something like that. And it feels like bad due diligence to hire a coach that's not going to do that. Or doesn't, might not have either the skill set to do either one. Sorry, Dom.
I really don't take anything away from being a coach here. Like, I think about myself, if I were to join a team, like, how could I move them? You know, like when you think about Nuke Duck coaching Bjergsen, just think about this. Just think about what that is. Nuke Duck is a player that achieved less than Bjergsen, so he was a worse player, and Bjergsen also has more coaching experience than Nuke Duck has. So how the fuck is Nuke Duck going to say anything to move Bjergsen?
Well, this is a thing that I think people don't realize, is that if Nuke Duck was capable, and again, this is no offense to Nuke Duck, right? If Nuke Duck was capable of innovation or change, then it would have been displayed within his gameplay, even if he wasn't the best player, because you don't need to be the best player to stand out and do things that are clearly innovative or different than other people. Like one of the things I'll point to, right? So I've been co-streaming all the regions lately, right? There's this player in LCK, and his ID is DNDN, which I think it's
Din Din.
Dun Dun. Dun Dun.
That's what they call him.
Right? Which
I don't know.
like
I just know the broadcast calls him Din Din.
Yeah, but it has a literal translation. Hold on, let me find out what the word means for you. I'm pretty sure it's like reliable, is what it means. Yeah, reliable. So his
like
ID
dinner?
is the Korean word for reliable, right? And this guy has the most like. Now, obviously, like sometimes the camera pans and like whatever, right? And I don't think I've watched every single game they played. But in the first couple of weeks that I was watching, he had like the most sentient laning phase that I've seen since like Keen. Like, and that it's so obvious how conscious he is of like every decision that he's making, what he's doing with the minions, when he's recalling, and like it's such a breath of fresh air from just the zombie fucking just shove, bounce, fucking whatever, right? And it stands out immediately. You can see that the player is doing something that is not normal amongst all of his peers. And I think that stands out, right? So you don't need to be the best player in your league or your region to have these like cerebral standouts. And that was never the case with Nuke Duck. And so if he's not doing it in mid, then you have like Boostio, you have Tenacity on the team and stuff like that. And I've already heard horror stories about like things that have like gone on in regards to like champions and like other types of things that just make no sense. I'll just fucking leak one because I mean it's weeks old at this point, right? But like I think it's pretty common knowledge that like Ornn just doesn't have a lot of great items, right? In general. Like he feels kind of bad getting a mythic. Like he wants to get Jack Show, but at the same time he also like wants Sunfire, and then like
you kind of want to rush
Jack
Sunfire.
Show, right? The Ornn's like in a weird spot. And one of the best things that you can do on Ornn to help curve his mid-game problems, because Ornn can't really side lane, right? He eventually slows down, like, getting golden farm and stuff, is to build, like, Knight's Vow and Redemption, right? This is, like, a really common thing on Ornn. And apparently, Tenacity is not allowed to build Redemption on Ornn. Like,
Can't do
what are we saying? Like, what do you mean you're not allowed? Like,
it's
what are we?
impossible.
But also, it's like it's so fucking brain dead because it's weird in that Redemption's just correct on Ornn. But what the fuck does that mean? You're not allowed? Like what? Like because fucking LS in the room when someone builds Morello? Like I don't know. Like I don't know what's going on here with like Grievous wounds. Like shit like that's crazy to me.
When you go to the shop and use the hammer, it punches out the green and red color. It looks bad, so we can't have things that look bad on 100 Thieves, so you can't use Redemption.
It makes like a fucking ugly ass hoodie, like a winter sweater instead of a hoodie. And they're like,
dude, what is with companies that have like hoodies where it's just a logo and then there's totally different, like that can't be real, right?
Yeah. I had a point to counter I guess the Nuke Duck inexperience, which was, but I guess it just builds in. It wasn't to counter. I guess it was just to add on. I mean, Bjergsen was coaching Maple last year, 2 years ago, right? Was it Maple? Who was his mid laner? It was Power of Evil. Power of Evil. Bjergsen was coaching Power of Evil at that time.
Where is Power of Evil now?
He's in Germany streaming.
Rest my case.
There, well played. Well played. I walked right into that one. That was really good. But yeah, so it's just kind of funny that here's Bjergsen, who's going to, be in a situation that he literally was on the opposite side of a little while ago, where he had more experience with the same org in the role than the guy that he was coaching, and now he's got to be able to put it all together. I would hope that gives a little bit more leeway for Nuke Duck through Bjergsen at least, and then Bjergsen can kind of address the team. But I mean, Nuke Duck has been around for a very long time, playing longer than Double Lift. Like what? What is it? Lemon Dogs? The Lemon Dogs days, all the way back in season 3, making it a world.
They've been playing about the same amount of time. That's when Bjergsen started.
Yeah, so there's that. But it is, as both of you have said, very unorthodox in terms of skill set and coaching experience to be put to the test here by the 100 Thieves situation.
Yeah. Also, there's a weird dynamic within the team where I feel like I think Double Lift started well. Like his first couple of weeks were good, yes. But they also played against
really well.
Yeah, but they played against like bad teams, and then. Yep. I think the last 2 weeks, Double Lift has been playing pretty bad, and Bjergsen's also just been doing nothing. So like the two veteran players on the team are kind of just AFK / underperforming in games, and then there's like a weird dynamic now between rookie players and like I don't know, you hear the voice comms from Closer, and Closer seems like he really just wants his team to fucking do something, and they just do nothing all the time. And I think it's pretty rough to like be taking advice from somebody that you don't actually respect as a player. So if there is a loss of respect, that could be catastrophic for a team like this.
Well, yeah, kind of weird to see it. Kind of weird to see inactivity from two vets. I guess I was going to say it's not weird for those two guys, but it's weird for vets to do that and just become the bar. I'd say
it's not weird at all. That's what happens with every fucking vet, bro. That's what happened with that Seal. Remember that CLG team with like Broxa, Wild Turtle, Smoothie? Like that was just that's literally what happens to every veteran. They lose their hands. They can no longer compete with people mechanically, so they end up just like trying to win with their brain by not taking any risk and waiting for like good situations to present themselves. And if the other team just plays competently and those situations never present themselves, then they just fucking lose.
All right. I guess it's not weird. Danny is a great example of that. When he came in, he played fucking Samira, Ezreal. Yep. It was hands. To be fair, Wild Turtle played Ezreal last week. It was pretty cool. All right. Still got hands. All right. So 100 Thieves making the roster change. On the coaching staff, we'll see if more changes will happen here future. Because, to throw it out there, the final thing on the 100 Thieves thing, because we talked a lot about the coaching staff, you still got Unforgiven on the bench, man. Is it time? Is it time, guys?
I don't think they'll do it. But, I mean, from what I've heard from Academy casters, he's like by far the best player in Academy. I don't see why you wouldn't try it. I guess, so right now, actually, it's a little weird. I guess they can't try it right now because theoretically, 100 Thieves is still in a fine spot to make playoffs. We see the standings here. They're 5-8, but the main thing that you have to look at when you compare 100 Thieves to Team Liquid is strength of schedule. 100 Thieves has a significantly easier strength of schedule than the teams that they're competing with, which is mainly TSM and TL. TL has a lot of bad losses. So if you go in and you fucking click that little eye there, you look at LCS schedule, you still have FlyQuest from Team Liquid. You still have to play against FlyQuest, you still have to play against C9, you still have to play against EG. That's like 3 losses that you should just pretty much get every time with how TL's playing. And then even out of the 2 games that they have that are easy games, they have Dig and CLG, and I think they're just a worse team than CLG right now, so that could be a loss as well. So you're only really looking at like 2 more wins from TL. When you have TSM here, you obviously have one really big match, which is 100 Thieves versus TSM. That's happening week 8, day 1. And that match matters a lot because if 100 Thieves wins that match, they then hold the tiebreaker over TSM for playoffs. So they just have the tiebreaker over TSM. So they could match TSM and actually get the spot over them. TSM, they actually have a pretty easy schedule themselves. They have IMT and Dig left, but they still have Golden Guardians, 100 Thieves, Fly. And when you look at 100 Thieves lineup, 100 Thieves has Dig that they still get to play. They still get to play IMT. So it's really going to generally come down to this TSM versus 100 Thieves game to lock in that last playoff spot unless TL starts winning and beating these better teams. So I guess from the 100 Thieves perspective, it doesn't necessarily make sense to change right now because you should still, even with your bad play, believe that you can make playoffs and you should make playoffs.
Yeah, 100 Thieves is the quintessential lose to the teams better than you, beat the teams that you are better than. 1-0 against Dignitas, 1-0 against Immortals, 2-0 against Team Liquid, and 1-0 against
Team Liquid is huge because they have the tiebreak over Team Liquid going forward, and they play easier opponents in the last 5 games. So they're still in a fine spot, even though they don't look good.
Yeah, it's just how will the mental handle as they play EG and Golden Guardians? Will they, if those are losses, they, lose a handle on the mental and then drop one of the games against a team below them. Then we got a lot of mess to cover here for 100 Thieves for the upcoming split. All right, let's see. Next up, what else do we have? Speaking of bad weeks, man, we're just kind of in a negative spot right now. Let's finish out with Vikla and FlyQuest, because Vikla's had a pretty great year, and this week was not a good week in both games, right? FlyQuest did go 1-1. They beat CLG in that first game after handing over the Aurelian Soul, and then against Evil Geniuses, that was the first time we've seen not good, very much clearly not good Vikla. And he tweeted out earlier afterwards saying, hey, I'm angry with my bad play. Things weren't great. We'll bounce back next week. This is just a little bump in the road. We can imagine there's a lot of leeway you can give here compared to a team like 100 Thieves or TL. But do you read into this, LS, as anything more than just one bad week here for Vikla?
I mean, it looks like Vikla gets bored because FlyQuest are just winning so much. That's the best way that I would describe it. Is it doesn't look like he actually has the winner's mentality where he just wants to finish a game cleanly. Huh? What?
I said 100% agree.
Yeah. It looks like he gets completely bored inside of the games, and it doesn't seem like he has that killer mindset. And what's interesting is it looks like Prince actually does, in a way. He looks visibly angry after some of the games that are sloppy, even if FlyQuest ends up winning and stuff. The other thing that I think is really concerning with FlyQuest is that they're quickly turning into the T1 of LCS, where their drafts just make no fucking sense pretty much across the board. It's the players are just playing whatever the fuck they want to play, right? We mentioned on earlier episodes of Facecheck that Prince was just styling on the league, playing different ADC every single game, right? But now it's at a point where the opponents are early rotating champions that are really good against what FlyQuest's already drafted, and then FlyQuest doubles down and continues into just a hell of the draft, and then the draft becomes difficult, and FlyQuest just has to really outplay the opponents. But the issue is that it happens early in the draft, and then it keeps happening, and this happens consistently with several drafts that they end up doing, and it's just a really depressing reality when you're seeing it happen. Combine that with the Vikla thing that's going on, where he just gets visibly bored inside of games. It doesn't look super great. I'll be totally honest with you. It does not bode well.
Being bored in a match, when I hear that, I actually think of the beginning of the season JoJo, right? JoJo was kind of doing the same thing where he just got bored and would just limit test. And that one game, I think, was a LeBlanc or a Kali where he was 0-4, 0-5. He had the only deaths on his team, but they were still winning, and he was still pulling pressure, but he was very much unnecessarily dying and made that game against, I think, Golden Guardians way too difficult. Same cut from the same cloth here, Dom?
Yeah, 100%. I would say that's the perfect way to put it. It looks like he gets bored. It looked like when he got here, he really wanted to shit on people, and then because of the lack of competition, because of how easy it was for other people to lane into other people, it seems like he just kind of lost some type of fire to improve, it's generally pretty hard to do. It's hard to improve when you're at the top. So I don't know. The thing that's really scary about FlyQuest is they don't feel like they're getting any better. It feels like they're just the same every week. And they just play similarly to what they did previously, and just they try to win. But I don't see any notable improvements in terms of areas of gameplay. Their team fighting is better than it was. It just they're better players than the enemy team. So I think that's kind of scary, because they're not so good that no one can ever catch up, right? They're not so good that EG, if they improve slightly, will not just be a better team. So I'm a little bit scared for FlyQuest. I think they're getting super complacent.
After the first game against CLG, I had an interview with Vikla. I think it was Vikla. But even though they won, and obviously that was a long game. Their review took a very long time. A lot of the time, players, they finish their game. One of the team does fan meets, and we'll meet the fans. The other team will do interviews. And I'm pretty sure CLG did the fan meet first and then came back. There was just a very, very, very long wait. A very long wait before Vikla came up to do the interview. That was actually my first question. I was like, hey, man, you guys okay? Like, I know you guys got the win and it wasn't clean, but what happened in the review room? He was like, oh, we just reviewed the game. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to get anything here. But it was interesting that the coaching staff there kept him in for a long time afterwards, despite a win. So I feel a little confident that Song, Sharks, the rest of the squad there are on top of the situation. It's more like, hey, can they fix it? And it feels like with boredom, you can fix it, right? You just stop being bored. Like, the stakes get higher, right, guys? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I think the problem is that, like, it's not an instant fix. You need to be progressing throughout the split. So it's not like they can instantly just be like, oh, let's not be bored, and then they're suddenly going to be better. They still have lost time if that ends up being the case.
What do you think, Ellis? Like, you've had to manage players and mentality before.
I think if, like, Korea, like, I think especially because we gotta acknowledge that FlyQuest essentially is a Korean org, right? Or like team.
Yeah. Yes.
So I think that, like, when we consider that, no, I don't think there's any holding out for any sort of change or anything that is gonna come, at least in this regard, like, strategically. The same way that, like, I don't think there's any logic in holding out for, like, T1 to suddenly start changing their drafting. Like, the best thing that we ever got out of T1 is the ADC stuff from support, but even that in itself is, like, kind of weird. Because I think that, like, I think if like Riot didn't do anything with the patches and the whole ADC stuff just continued to exist, I think that after enough time people would realize that it's not actually as good as it is. It's just Keria is fucking Keria. And that's the way that it is, right? Because when you see so many other people play ADC supports, it looks really clowny. So that, you know, that I mean, that's what I would think anyway.
All right, well, FlyQuest, they do end up dropping that game. They are 11-2, already clinched the playoffs, but generally there's some of the issues that they might face moving forward. I don't have, I guess, a topic image for the rest of this, but I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on this week in general in terms of the matches. Cloud9 rifling off 2 wins. CLG for the first time this split don't streak. They don't lose 2 or win 2. They lose that first one and bounce back against 100 Thieves and get the victory against them. TL got the surprise win against Golden Guardians and breaking the win streak there. But what jumped out at you at this week in terms of play, guys?
For me, I think Golden Guardians looked a lot more shaky in both of their games. It seems like they kind of went away from their identity of Gory River carrying every single game, and they played a little bit of a more supportive mid jungle, and I just don't think that's going to fly for this team. Kind of like the opposite of how I see Damwon, for example. If you see Damwon over in the LCK, what Damwon's adaptation has been recently is to give mid jungle agency so they could play together, like get a couple kills and let Canyon carry the game or something. So they'll play, you know, Viego plus Lissandra, or they'll play Annie plus, you know, X ganking jungler. They're trying to make this work, where I feel like Golden Guardians is doing the same thing, but that's not what their team needs, because they don't have like the stable side lanes that are going to pull through a lot of the time. They need to be able to like be late game threats. So I want to see more, you know, Gory Yone, more. I mean, this pick is getting banned all the time, but that type of style. I want to see him play things that have agency with items and not just be on Annie duty. I feel like Annie duty is reserved for players that are weaker at laning, for example.
Yeah.
So if you have a team like, for example, TSM, I'd be okay with some Annie duty, some Talia duty, you know, just AFK and like farm there. But I don't want to see that out of Golden Guardians. I think that when they try to play like this and they're giving, you know, Licorice Jackson, he's supposed to be the one carrying a game, it's not going to work. They have to really stick to like Renekton, Sion, Grog. I don't know. I mean, his Gragas was pretty shaky. Not Lee Sin top, please. No Jax. Just allow Licorice to just exist up there and really just have your mid jungle.
I joke. I mean, I'm not even joking. He should just play like, he should acknowledge that like roaming Janna is still a thing and just start doing that, man. Like, oh my lord.
Yeah,
is roaming Janna still a thing?
Roaming Jana is still a thing, yeah. I mean, you can do it. There's a challenger Roaming Jana in Korea.
There was a challenger Roaming Jana all of last year after the nerfs. His name was like the Ruined Jana.
Yeah, it's amazing. You can still do it. There's also roaming Twitch, roaming Bard, like, you know.
I don't think you should go that far. I'm not with LS going that far. I think just pick Scion. It's okay. Like, I don't want them to have to fucking win or lose on a bot dive level 3 because I don't know if I trust them that much.
I mean, for me, the most surprising thing is that Steve has just been swindled twice. Like harder than me and Dom are getting swindled by Forrest.
By Forrest,
yeah. Fucking Team Liquid. Dude, the squad episodes are the most fun thing for me to watch now because you can just see how like nothing of substance is being said in those episodes. There is nothing of value that is going on there. So I mean, there's that. The Team Liquid drafts or like Team Liquid's drafting in general is just the theme for my next like Draft Kingdom video. Because TL it's just a complete fucking disaster, and I don't ever think they're gonna get together. I was on the Team Liquid subreddit. There was some thread. It had like I don't know how many comments. The amount of copium in that thread where it's like it's because they're all just winning scrims too early. That's why they. That's why they're so bad at mid and late game. Yeah, that's it, guys. Everyone's like, I still believe in this team. I still believe in the vision and, you know, all this other stuff. And it's like, what is anyone even saying anymore? I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So
team, you know, Korean time, it's like 4 a.m. when their games are played live. So really hard for them to actually perform.
Yeah, you just wouldn't get it.
Jeez. What is he supposed to say? What is he supposed to say? Man, I really hope these guys get their shit together. Otherwise, we're going to have to get new players next year. Like, I mean, that'd be spicy, but, you know, the opposite side of, you know, the hopium copium take is the Bud Light beheading, right? Yeah. That was full Bud transparency.
Do it. I'm just kidding. I don't think they should get Bud Light beheaded yet. But still, it's so rough. I mean, it's just one of the teams. I don't know how you feel about this, LS, but I actually really like watching TL fail. Because I feel like
I love watching. Yeah,
it's super fun to watch them fail because it feels like they're trying to like cheat the league in a way with like their roster construction. They're like, fuck it, we're going full LCK, but they didn't even recruit players that make sense. Like they don't care about a player's individual performance at all. It's mainly just about accolades and, you know, the fact that Piochik just won Worlds as a jungler. How bad could he really be? It's like he could be pretty fucking bad. I think we saw that. He's pretty bad at League. He's not been good for years in Korea.
Yes, that's the craziest thing. That is the biggest like what's the idiom? Pulling something over someone's eyes. What is it? Oh my god.
Trick. The biggest trick that he pulled.
It's a trick, right? Like, dude, Steve got blasted by this.
Rug. There it is.
Pulling the wool. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I mean, holy shit balls. Steve just got fucking. I mean, he got screwed by it. Piochik has not been a top jungler ever. Even last year in LCK, he wasn't even a top 5 jungler.
The best time that the best time that he was playing was like 2020, I think. Like his rookie year, I think, was his best one.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Well, yeah, but his rookie year was also Chovy and Deft.
Yeah. And Carrier.
And also, if you go back to his rookie year and you watch his gameplay, he's mostly power farming, doing nothing, while other junglers like try to gank and fail because there's Chovy and Deft and Carrier. And then Piochik ends up with the lead because that's what happens in that season.
I thought he was kind of good in like 2021 spring because he caught on to the Udyr. I think he was like the first person that started playing Udyr.
Yeah.
So when he first started playing Udyr, I was like, okay, Udyr's actually pretty good. I started playing some Udyr. I was like, fuck, I used to play that shit. I got some LP. I was like, oh, thanks, Piochik. You know, I appreciate that, bud. But I mean, after that, I mean, he definitely did not look like a top tier jungler. I mean, the funny thing is, he didn't even qualify to fucking Worlds. If he played all the games in Gauntlet, they don't fucking make it to Worlds. DRX doesn't even go to Worlds. They needed Juhan to play the games to qualify them to Worlds. Like that says enough about him as a player.
Yes. Yep. Hard agree.
Couple points there. We talk about this in my interview with him about the 2021 spring run, and then right afterwards the 2021 summer run, where it was probably as bad, probably his worst season as a pro. So I was like comparing, hey, how's this year compared to that? So you could check that out on my video. But also, when you bring up the fact that it's history time, when you bring up the fact that they're trying to cheat the league with this roster construction, not the first time this has happened with the LCS, right? Even before in
LMQ
like, challengers.
You motherfuckers, I didn't go to Worlds because of you guys. Okay,
LMQ,
no, it's fine. I'm not
one.
salty. It's only been 9 years. It's fine. I've gotten over it. Clearly.
Sorry, Dom. Anytime I had an opportunity to bring that up, I had to bring it up. Vasily, Ackerman, Q. I don't remember who else.
Vasily's in jail, right?
Zhao Zhao.
I don't think he's in jail still. I know he was in trouble briefly, but I mean that was.
What do you mean in trouble briefly? The audio recording of him annihilating his girlfriend.
Oh wait, I thought it was the desk. The him.
No, he beat his girlfriend.
All right.
That was like years ago.
I did not know about that one.
Allegedly beat his girlfriend on voice recording. But I guess look, if we're doing the EG thing, I guess we don't have a recording of seeing it visually, so we can't say that anything actually happened there. So, it is what it is.
The other one I was thinking of.
Unless I'm in the room, because people are deep faking things these days online. I guess unless I'm in the fucking room and watching it happen, I can't comment on anything. True.
Oh my god.
At the end of the show, this episode, I was gonna be like, damn, man, we had a great show. I did so fucking good with my hosting, and I just led us right into that one. That was my fault. Sorry, guys.
Mm-hmm. Nah, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. This is apologizing to everyone, too. To you two, everyone watching. I fucked up. My bad. Bad show. Yeah. The other roster I was thinking about that was hey, look at this Korean roster that's going to have high levels of success in North America. Do you remember the old Quantum Gaming roster? It was post Cloud9 purchase.
Yes.
That was the other one. Apple. Apple's the name that I always remember on that team.
Yep. Apple Loco Doco.
Apple
Our
Loco.
Former host. Crushed Hearts and Broken Dreams.
Crushed Hearts and Broken Dreams.
I mean, I know that team very closely
them?
Because I was scrimming against them a lot because so when I got unbanned, I actually had to re-qualify to Worlds. I played 2 different best of 5 qualifiers into Worlds. I had to win both of them to get in once. What the fuck is going on?
Who else? It was Prime, Suno, Gunza, and Woong. Woong left first. Woong left first. So it says here Woong was there September 2013 to September 2013. So he probably got an offer in Korea to do that instead of do the whole challenger thing. So that was the last time the original time I remember trying to cheat the North American system with a roster to get in. This was then before they put in the import rule, and that was because of what's his name? CLG? Seraph, right? I'm pretty sure it was Seraph, and then they had the import rule, and then you couldn't just do that anymore, as well as LMQ. So Team Liquid kind of going down that
Dexter
same route
was
right
there
now.
too.
What team? Oh, Dexter. Yeah, that's right.
CLG, the beginning of the year.
There's so much hope on that roster. So much hope on that roster. Okay.
Hey, dude, you shut on me before, so where did their hope fall? Who did they end up losing to? in that roster, in that best of 5, coming back off a Korean boot camp, who 3-0'd them?
Was that you? Was that?
Yes, sir.
And I will dominate. All right.
Yes, sir. They lost to the I will dominate Nunu after boot camping in Korea for a full month. They ain't never seen a Nunu like that before. That's all I'm saying.
Pre-snowball Nunu. I know a lot of our viewers are young or don't know. Nunu used to not have a snowball that run him around the map like that. He would just go and just outpace.
Max Nunu, baby. We were ahead of the meta.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
1,000 damage on 5-second cooldown. Only to monsters. It's broken.
There you have it. It was there's no way you can get any objectives. You'd fall behind. Nunu would just roll up, eat the monster, and then run away, right?
I feel like LS would have appreciated that time in North American League. He would have appreciated me as a player. Not interacting with lanes at all, just picking consume max Nunu and just doing Baron at 15 minutes every single fucking game. Just abusing some weird that was the old Ivern of the jungle, bro. Come on.
Sounds like the juice.
All right.
I guess out of here, Digon.
Yeah. All right. Two more segments. 3 more segments. Let's talk about it. The next one, a brief one. We can go into it. Always, I haven't done this segment in such a long time, but it is one of my favorites. It is the LCS game of the week, but this time it played us. So normally you get the bottom feeders of the league getting together and they scrap. They really don't care.
I don't think Ellis even watched this one. I was the only person still watching.
I didn't.
You didn't watch this game? It was the game of the week, dog.
I was the only person watching. It had one viewer, and it was me. Like the LCS had one viewer at this point. It was just me locked in. I had one of those machines where I was peeling my eyelids back. It was fucked up, man.
I was. Yeah, are you mad that you watched that one?
I am actually. Yeah, I'm a little mad. I'll be honest.
That's disappointing. I was ready to leave doing interviews. I was ready to go. No one was in the only people in the studio were like the Immortal staff, and then the 5 rows back, the Dignitas staff, unfortunately, because it's at the end of the day and they always put Dignitas there. But man, let me tell you, this had every single facet of excitement from North America you expect. You had yourself some inactivity, scaling 80 carries in the form of Tomio and our boy Eddie. And then we had Baron steals, Baron throws, multiple Elder Dragons, backdoors failing on both sides, people walking over Xayah feathers for whatever reason. Dom, break this one. Just give us an overview of what you took away from this one.
Well, I mean, I think that the thing that was so unique about this game is that pretty much the least likely outcome to every situation happened over and over again. It was like if you have okay, so I saw something recently in an LPL game where Ruler was playing Caitlyn, and he autoed somebody 3 times with 55% crit, and he missed every single crit. 3 autos, 0 crits with 55%. This is like one of those games where they had 55% chance to make a good play, and it happened to go wrong every single time, like 10 times in a row. It was a statistical improbability that this game even fucking existed. You had people like stealing Baron where they shouldn't even fucking steal Baron. The fight would just go as bad as possible. Then the other team was in a position to win, then they would throw the fight. It was pretty much as bad as possible. It was fucked.
No. You're reminding me of a story from Gravity. Okay, so there's some game. It happened. It wasn't LCS. Maybe it was Gravity. Like a scrim. But anyways, it was Cop versus Doublelift, and Doublelift had 1 crit cloak, 1. And
he always crits that motherfucker.
There was a team fight, and like we had just barely lost the team fight. And Cop for like 30 minutes after the game ended just could not, when we like got back to the PCs and stuff, like later that night, Cop was just like watching for 30 minutes, and he's like, he crit 7 times in a row.
You know, that's not just not a random thing. When I played with Cop, every time we played against Doublelift, he would sit after the game and count the difference of crits in the team fight based on how much crit chance both of them had. Like, this is something that he's done repeatedly for years, was sit there and count crits after the game with Doublelift specifically. And we all came, and like, I agreed with him. I was like, yeah, Double's just lucky as fuck, bro. He just crits more than you. And I would always like just troll him with that shit. I would sit there and I'd be like, yeah, if you were a better AD carry, you probably would have crit there. And he would get so fucking mad. I would just sit there trolling him. I mean, you know how I am. I'm just a piece of shit. So like, that was my way to. There was right next to him, and he would always get so pissed.
What was the pro game with there was a what was it? It was a Tryndamere, and he had the 1 crit rune, but he crit 2 autos in a row.
Oh,
do you know what game I'm talking about?
Yes, I remember that one.
Level 1, Tryndamere crit twice in a row. In a professional game because he had the 1% crit chance. He crit.
Is it an LCK game? I think I remember this.
There's some pro game where this ended up happening. He crit 2 times in a row, and then he just completely dominated the lane because of it. He just hard won the trade.
Was it like Worlds? Like I
don't even fucking remember.
Because if I remember this, then I feel like it was
because it caused
either
so
North
much
America or international
about the rune. Yep.
Tryndamere crit rune. There's no way to be able to search for that. I am looking through Gravity Gaming and CLG playing against each other. Yeah, I guess there's one game in week 7. Season 5, Week 7, spring. That Cop's playing Graves and Double is playing. I almost said Peter. Double is playing Jinx, and he built IE first, no Zeal. So I'm looking there, but I don't see it. Nah, he had Zeal.
I don't know if that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll find it. I'll find it later. Anyways, okay. So anyway, if you want a good old North American time, if you want free content, LS, go watch that game. It was my favorite clown fiesta of the year. Probably one of my most top 10 clown fiestas, just because, as Dom said, the way that he put it, the least likely outcome happened time and time again, including whatever team that was winning or should have been winning throwing, but just enough in a way that the game also didn't end because it was so late. It was great times. Thank you very much, game of the week. All right, second to last segment. We're almost done with the spring season, so I got my email saying, hey, time to vote for All Pro. So we're gonna pull that one up now together. What is your all-pro rankings for each role? So I guess it's like power rankings, but I'd rather get all-pro. So yes, power rankings always are a little bit more. Let's do all three. Let's do all three. All right. Let's start in the top lane. Who we got here? This one feels pretty straightforward to me. I've got Fudge at number 1, Impact number 2. And then Someday number 3.
Like Sunday's been kind of bad this. I don't know. I would have yuck, bro. Who are you choosing number 3 from top lane in North America? I would have Impact number 1, Fudge number 2. Personally,
okay.
And then number 3. Oh my god, it's a horror. Tenacity, Dokla, Armut, Someday, Solo. Summit's been running it. Revenge and Licorice. Oh my god.
Top lane's a fucking disaster. Okay.
I beat Dokla,
dude,
man.
What?
It's Someday, Dokla, or Solo.
Dude, it might be Oh fuck, bro. That is so crazy. I am so stumped on number 3. I mean, it can't be Licorice. It can't be Revenge. I don't think it can be Summit. Let's just do process of elimination. Who can it not be?
Yeah.
Let's do process of elimination. That's the only way to get this done.
Not Licorice, not Revenge, not Summit.
It can't be Licorice, Revenge, Summit, Solo, or Tenacity. So
Okay,
it's between
Solo.
Dokla and Someday and Armut. It can't be Armut either. So it's between Dokla and Someday. Oh my god, and they both had hit or miss seasons.
It's Someday.
Someday.
Yes, it's just Someday. Oh
Yeah,
my god, it's actually Someday. And he's been having probably one of the worst splits of his entire career.
I feel like I feel like there was a Someday did the Someday thing where people dove him early and he flashed out of it and got.
Dude, that Fiora game is forever gonna be fucking scarred into my memory though.
Yeah, you're right. All right. Next up, let's get our junglers knocked out of the way. This is Inspired, Spica,
and River? Probably. It might be Blabber over Inspired with how things have been going. I would go.
I think you have 4 good candidates here.
Yeah. I think if you consider all the games, like probably.
I mean, the
River.
thing is, yeah. I mean, I think jungle is very, very close. I mean, jungle in general is pretty close. I mean, you have 4 candidates for jungle, like legitimately, but I don't think that like it's bad legitimate. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess for me, I would just go River 1, 2, Spica, 3, Blabber.
What do you got here, Ellis?
I go speaker. What the hell?
Speaker?
You like that?
I can't hear you.
Spica, Blabber, River.
Speaker, Riva,
Blabber.
Blabba.
Riva.
Riva and Blabba.
You like that? You like that? I know you like that. It's fine.
I like it. I did like it.
Yeah. I mean, chat's pumping out like Contracts has had a good year. I love my boy Juanito, but he's had some bad games as well. Boogie has had some good performances, but I think that Vi game that he just straight inted on was not so great. And then Closer just hasn't, as we've discussed and you can hear on the 100 Thieves comps, hasn't had a lot to work with.
What about Wide Duck Ass?
Yeah, Wide Duck ass, pretty good candidate. You know,
Thank you.
Does a good job working bottoms up. So we'll see.
I mean, I really did think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go to mid lane. Mid lane. Jojo Vikla. Gory.
I'm going Gory number 1. I think Gory's played well in almost every game he's played. I'll go Gory number 1. Number 2, I got Jojo. Number 3, Vikla. That's what I got.
What do you got, Ellis?
I think Gory's been playing out of his mind. I think Gory is performing the best, and then after I would say it's I mean, Eminus. I mean, he has such low sample size.
I don't think he's able to be. He's only played what, 4 games?
Yeah, I mean that's fine. No,
I don't think so. I think there's probably a minimum amount of. You probably have to play at least like half the season.
Yeah, then otherwise it's just standard. It's just Gory, Vikla, and then Jojo. Yeah.
I had Jojo above Vikla. I think Vikla's had a lot of pretty bad games. I guess Jojo had bad games in the beginning too.
Yeah.
Jojo, yeah.
Recency bias for sure.
There you go. Yeah.
There are games where Jojo has won it for the team. Has Vikla had
shit on Vikla though?
Yeah, has Vikla had like just a straight carry performance, like full carry performance? Because that was Jojo against Vikla.
Silas games early on. I think the problem is that Vikla's had some pretty bad games. Like he had the Swain game where he just kept on like dying, the one to Bjergsen where he got solo killed by Bjergsen as well. Then he had the games he had the Aurelia game where he completely fucking sent it. He had the Talia game this week, and then the other game where he's tweeting out after that he's sorry about it. The game versus CLG as well. I don't know.
Yeah,
right.
He's had some pretty rough ones.
All right. Well, yeah, you could miss it. I think it's Gory, Jojo, Vikla. Yeah, I think that makes sense for me. All right, bot lane. Let's take a look at it. This is
Oh my God, Stixxay is top 3.
I know. That's what I was laughing at. I was like, is it really Stixxay? Yeah. The resurgence is back, baby.
Oh my God, it's actually just Prince Berserker and then Stixxay. What the fuck? Nah, it can't be. Yeah,
Wild Turtle's been on fire. What do you mean?
He actually played better.
It's the age
last
of the
week.
boomers. It's the age of the boomers. You just don't even you can't even comprehend what's going on.
I think Turtle played better last week than I saw him play in any week since 2020.
Wait, hold on. Let me go to Turtle's Wikipedia page. I hope Joe shows this. If you go to Turtle's Wikipedia page, like, and you take a look at the progression of his photos,
he just gets sadder and sadder.
Yeah. But what is it this year? Is he finally smiling again? Wait,
no. He was super angry in the original one.
Wait.
I'll link it in the chat. This is the most.
It's fucking amazing, dude.
I just want, for the record to show, I love Wild Turtle. Jason's great. Also, I did an interview with him this week. I will get that posted on there. We talk about his break and what he did in between, and it was actually the least interview I did.
The quality on the newest photo is so high that it looks like he's so aged after Immortals. Like his skin texture.
Look at 2020 spring down. Look at 2020 spring down. That's the fucking juice right there. 2020 spring looks summer. Oh my God. Then spring, okay, he's still smiling. Then look at 2021 summer.
Oh, no.
Into the Immortals, into the holy shit.
That's really
funny. True despair.
I bet part of me thinks that he doesn't think about this, but it does lead to a now almost decade-long trail.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my God.
Wild Turtle number 3 for me. All right. Done. Prince Berserker. Is it really Stixxay over
Wild
FBI?
Turtle number 3?
I'm kidding.
After 2 games? That's so crazy. What?
Prince Berserker, FBI. FBI or Stixxay?
How could we ever put Wild Turtle, though, actually?
We could.
Played 2 games. He went 1-1.
Yeah. Leave him alone. He's playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah. He's balling out. Let's go with support and closing on off. Yeah, actually, at support, who do you got? Vulcan. Like, Isla's too new, I think. Has it made mistake? Got slapped around on Twitter. Not
unironically, Winsome would have been in my top 3. Like,
I mean, so, right?
Yeah, I actually think it's like Sven, Winsome, and then
Vulcan.
I guess it's Vulcan, man, but I just don't care. Like, like all the supports are so fucking.
Yep.
Everything is just a nightmare right now in LCS. It was actually just Sven and Winsome were looking good. Every other support is just not looking great.
I would throw out two names here: Chime and Huhi.
Oh, like, Chime's actually had some. Yeah, Chime's had some.
I thought Chime was pretty good.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
I mean, he loses lane all the time, but he had Neo sprinting it, and before that, he like, dude, this guy. Think about the hell that Chime has had to play with. His 380s when he entered the league, he got to play with tactical into instinct into tactical into Neo. Like, that is just, they really are testing his mental there.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. Where do you put Chime? Chime 3? No way.
I would put
Vulcan, Sven, Chime. Sven, Vulcan, Chime. Sven, Vulcan, Chime.
I don't. Like, Sven had some bad games. Really bad games. I mean, that Kalista game he just played was pretty rough. The game where he was playing Rakan, where he got into it with Yeon, with Yeon, I thought that was pretty rough too. I don't think Sven has been that
I've read into
recently.
that now, right? With the Yeon thing, back to Academy. Do you think Yeon knew that Eminus was getting benched? Or
no, I mean,
Diplex was getting benched?
I think Yeon just misspoke. I think he meant to say I'm going back to Academy.
Diplex is the first person that chatted, right? So then is Yun flaming Diplex? Because Yun is leaking that Diplex is going back to Academy, and Sven
No, he didn't say back to Academy though. He just said like your Academy team is better.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then Sven said back to Academy.
Oh, okay. All right, I got it wrong.
Yeah, look at this beef, man. Got some good beef this season. I will say that there was a trailer that ran like settling the score on the Rift between Vulcan and Ayla during day 1's matches, and then they explained what it was on day 2. That felt a little manufactured, but when you look on Twitter, those guys were just going at each other. That was kind of weird.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
No, and then after in the interview, I like that from Vulcan. He said, "I'm not gonna beef with a tier 2 player again
anymore."
I thought it was a banger.
Yeah, Philip is the best. He's the best at all that smack talking. When he's
you don't want to smack talk with a French Canadian guy in solo queue. That's all I'm saying. They'll. Hey, if you know, you know. That's all I'll say.
All right. Okay. They have it. Shout outs to the French Canadian that I guess Dom's talking about. All right, let's close it out here. Winter is a French Canadian, isn't he? All right, we'll pass along that one. Last thing, it's time for Facecheck All In. It is where we get our bets on odds and give you the lock that you can do, and that is presented by Esportsbet. So thank you to our friends over at Esportsbet. Make sure you play responsibly. Make sure to do the research on the legality where you are playing. All right, let's hop on into it and take a peek at the odds that we got here for this week's LCS matches. Boom, really easy, clear. All right, what do we got early on here as we take a look at these matches this week?
Who's going first?
Wait, I'm opening LCS. Hold on.
LS, you're gonna go first.
I think CLG. I think C9 versus EG is fine. 1.855 odds. I mean, that's really good. I think Cloud9 should be like you should be getting way worse odds on Cloud9. I think for that one. Yeah, I think for that one you should be getting way worse odds.
I think it's pretty close.
Yeah, I think that's too. This feels like a. This does feel like a 50-50 to me. Like, but I wouldn't. I want the sure bet. Let's see. All right. So LS, slap it on there, Joe. Put it on his card. He's going with Cloud9.
Listen, I'm up 30K in like 3 days. Okay, like we're all gonna be fine here.
Okay.
Panic.
I'm tailing you. I'm tailing you on this one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Dom,
for
you
me,
taking the same one? Yeah, where are you going with?
No, I'm not taking this.
Okay.
What?
I mean, I'll tell you, but I'll put my own bet too. Come on, fucking scam if I just say the same one. I mean, I think the one that I would take is I would take EG versus CLG at 1.634. I mean, they obviously lost last time, which I think is affecting this to some degree, but I really don't think CLG is good. Like, I think CLG is a pretty bad team. I think EG is significantly better. Yeah, I don't know. I'll just go with that. There's also like shout out the one that I'm leaning towards that I'll do based on draft is the TSM versus Immortals game. I would bet an over on game time in this game. Because 32 minutes is what it's saying. 1.857. Actually, just change that to mine officially. I just think 1.8 odds on over a 32-minute game. Like, these motherfuckers play long-ass games. TSM, like, if they're winning, because you can't consider their overall game time, because when these teams lose, sometimes they just lose fast as fuck. But when both these teams win, if either of these guys are going to win, who's going to win a game in under 32 minutes between TSM and Immortals? Actually.
True.
These motherfuckers play long-ass games.
True. That is pretty good. Pretty good bet. Okay. Respectable.
Yeah, that's respectable. I'm going irrespectable. Is that how you say the word? I'm not sure.
What?
With
Disrespectful.
With disrespectful. There we go. Thank you. It's been a long one, man. All right. With these coaching changes, give me the upset, man. They were so close to tasting victory. They know what it's like to go all the way to the end. Game number 9 of the week. Give me Dignitas over 100 Thieves 2.9 over 100 Thieves 1.4. I think that's, that's not a surefire bet, but that you're going to get your bang for your buck there. You wouldn't bet Immortals at 4.7 against FlyQuest. That's sure money for FlyQuest, but where are my based Dignitas lovers?
I thought you were
going
honest, I mean, that's honestly that cool. I was gonna go the other way. I thought you were gonna go with the what is it, 100 Thieves beating, is it Golden Guardians?
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna go 100 Thieves beating Golden Guardians, because I think Golden Guardians looked kind of shaky last week and 100 Thieves looked good. But yeah, I'm sticking with mine.
100 Thieves versus Dig.
Yeah. I don't have any inside information, but I did retweet. I don't have any inside information, but I did retweet that I think Path to Pro highlighted an interview with Hoon. And so maybe we get a bad game 1 and we throw Hoon in there for game 2 against 100 Thieves and we get some Hoon time. So we'll see what happens.
Hoon time. Holy shit. Can't wait.
That's what
That'll make the year for me.
That's what we need, yeah.
All right, those are our all-in bets here for this week. Cloud9 with the win. Cloud9 with the win over Evil Geniuses. Dignitas taking in a big upset over 100 Thieves. And Dom with the over 32 minutes match in the TSM game with, who is it, Immortals?
All I'm saying,
how's this
Immortals' 3 wins are 46 minutes, 39, and 36.
What are their losses? They speedrun losses, though. That was the whole thing.
Exactly. So they have like a 28-minute loss to FlyQuest. They had a 28-minute loss to C9, 28-minute loss to TL. But last time they played TSM, it was a pretty quick loss. We'll give them that. But I don't know. I remember like TSM, just a lot of TSM games, they draft like super scaling and they play long games. So I don't know if that if that would lead me to believe that somehow they're going to play a short game this time.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it. Those are our bets for the week. And that closes out this week's episode of Facecheck. A lot of talking about happening around the Rift. A lot of managerial and structural kind of conversation as well. Not so much on the Rift. Hopefully we'll be able to get back to some of that with this week's games coming up. Dom, more LPL. Is it just we're in the middle of the grind right now?
Yep, we're in the middle of the grind. Tomorrow, banger LCS matches. Or LPL matches, I mean. We've got complete bangers. We've got Weibo versus EDG. And then after that, you have LNG versus top. So just like top teams in the LPL playing against each other. Should be close.
How about you, LS? Where will people find you this week? Lane Kingdom or right? Draft Kingdom, obviously one of them.
Thursday I do the LOL Park stream. So unless like something comes up with Riot, I mean it should be Thursday. And then yeah, I mean it's just standard this week. Everything's standard except for Sunday.
Yeah. Sweet.
Very nice.
You can catch me at the LCS this week, and I'm really trying to pump my time into the channel. So if you guys can help me out with my Dgon Esports channel, would love it. Again, last week's interview is really good. MNS, kind of, I have to edit the MNS one because he said a lot of things. He didn't mean it, but the way that he was speaking like came off way too rough. And I was like, oh, we got to cut that part out for an official interview.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you sure you didn't mean it?
Like, yeah, you sure?
I mean, I went straight at him. I was like, hey, man, so what's up with your reputation? He goes, you mean I'm toxic? And I'm just letting you know, like these interviews were like that one was really fun. Actually, the M&S one was really fun.
Yeah.
I'll send you guys the uncut later. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching and supporting. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Esportsbet YouTube channel to make sure you don't miss any updates on our Facecheck content. Until next week, we'll see you later. Take care.